Hello everyone and welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always. Oh gosh, the summer is ending and we're moving on to the end of step 3. I don't know how this is going to go. It might be particularly long and I might need to split it into 2 episodes. We might just go through it in one shot. And hey, there might be more than I'm expecting there to be. Who knows what's going to happen. But it's the end. And here we go, I guess. Don't ask me if I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. Let's do this. Moths bounced against your window, attracted by the light of your room, a siren call in the slowly darkening sky. Just as the day was coming to an end, so too would summer. Liz would be moving back into the dorms before long. Luckily, Lee had been able to come stay for a short trip before her own new journey began. She'd officially been accepted to her first choice college a few weeks ago. This was her last chance to see you all in person for... you flipped through the pages for the next few months, realizing that you didn't even know when you'd next have the opportunity for everyone to be in the same place again. It was hard to think that you'd likely be seeing even less of your cousin going forward, but you were delighted that she was pursuing her dreams. While you were still with each other, your family was going to have dinner together. As ever, the Holdens were tagging along too. Good. You were going to the Chinese restaurant. Oh, your destination was that tropical place. Oh, I do like Asian food. Yes. It was somewhere your family had always enjoyed going, ever since you and Liz were tiny. That long-standing connection made it a fitting location for a final meal out before Liz and Lee set off again. Oh, it's going to be so sad saying goodbye, especially to Liz. Technically, you were getting ready to go out, though your mind was only half on the task. It was a pleasantly warm evening, the kind that epitomized the vacation feeling, and you were in no mood to spoil it by rushing around. It was strange to think that summer was coming to an end, yet you wouldn't be returning to school. That pattern had been in place for as long as you could remember, and had come to feel like a natural rhythm, as inescapable as the coming of the tide. That was the first time you were going to be able to set your own tune. Whatever came next was entirely up to you. The future looked bright. You couldn't wait to start your new life. You were nervous but ready. It was all so uncertain it worried you. Just thinking about it made you queasy with stress. I was really excited when school ended, because I wasn't super keen on high school. Not that I had a plan. Well, I kind of had a plan. I, at the time, super didn't want to go to uni and was like, I'm taking a year to just like decompress, which was a great decision. I ended up, after that year, changing my mind and going to uni, and I've loved it. I'm still currently in uni. But I feel like you couldn't wait to start your new life. I like that. I feel like it leaves it a bit open-ended, lots of opportunities. You finally had the freedom to discover what you wanted to do with your life, no longer shackled by the commitments and constraints from before. Spot on. That's what I feel like. Yeah, absolutely. Mum called up from downstairs, tearing you from your thoughts as she told you it was time to head off. You raced downstairs, looking forward to the evening. Everyone piled into the car. While it was marketed as being suitable to hold 5 people, in practice it made for a very tight fit. I'm always the one in the middle, every time. Your mums sitting in the front were fine. You, Liz and Lee were squished into the back, Lee in the middle, wedged between you and your sister. Yeah, Lee has small energy. But Mum was an excellent timekeeper. Thanks to her efforts, you pulled up near the restaurant on time. The process of getting out of the car was slightly easier than squeezing into it, with much less coordination required to release seatbelts than to secure them. You gave Lee a hand as she clambered out from the middle seat, then headed into the building as a group. Ooh, this looks cute! A waiter greeted you as you entered. Mar let him know how many of you there would be in total, and he went to arrange a table that met your needs. He returned promptly to guide you to your seats. You perched comfortably in your chair, your head held aloft as if buoyed by today's good fortune. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful and looking forward to the evening ahead. Your drinks order had just been taken when the Holdens came through the door. They were pointed in your direction, though with Mum waving an arm in the air it was hardly necessary. Cove and Mr. Holden came to join you at the table. As greetings were exchanged, Cove took a seat opposite you. It had been left empty by unspoken acknowledgement that you and Cove would be wanting to sit together. Oh, that's cute. Quick, everyone, take a quick sip of your beverages. I've got my usual green tea going. Very nice. Mr. Holden sat beside him. It's great to see you. Glad you can make it. Hello, everyone. You wouldn't believe how hungry I am. You came to the right place, then. There was some laughter, though Liz groaned playfully, shaking her head at Mum's sense of humour. Growing up, she'd have complained, and Mum would have responded by making another comment. Liz had mellowed over the years, but she still made a show of despairing at Mum's jokes. Her reaction to them had become a joke in its own right. Menus were soon passed around, and a temporary hush fell over the table as everyone read. It didn't last long, punctured by comments about what people had eaten here before and light chatter about what people were considering tonight. Once the waiter had disappeared with your orders, Cliff piped up. There you are. So, I've got some good news. Kira's making a trip out here tomorrow. Oh, that's awesome. Cove nodded, turning from his father to the rest of the table. Hey, bud. Yeah, we talked about it and figured this was a good time for everyone. That's great. Everyone reacted positively to the news, though Ma looked wistful. Okay, Ma? Are you okay? Oh, there we go, yep. If only we'd known. Here we are having a big meal without her. If we'd waited one day, she could have joined us. Mum patted Ma on the back, gently nudging her from the realm of possibilities and what-ifs, and back to the evening that was going so well. Yeah, that's okay. Well, we're still having fun. We can have fun when she arrives. Chin up. Lee and Liz will still be here tomorrow. We'll just have to throw another get-together and keep the fun train chugging along. Oh, she's so cute. Ma smiled warmly, taking Mum's hand in hers. That's true. There's plenty time to celebrate right now, but there will be more good news and good times on the horizon. Right, and speaking of, that's not all we've got either. Oh? Mr. Holden's eyes were alight as he sat up straight in his chair, face angled towards his son. Oh? He barely let a beat go before nudging Cove with his elbow, pushing him to follow up on the announcement. He was the very picture of a proud papa. Oh, it's so cute! Cove shied from the limelight, ducking his head down and staring at his lap as he spoke. Well, it's just, I've switched over to working full-time instead of only part-time. Plus, I've been looking at apartments. There's a few I can choose from. Oh, that's so exciting, bud! I wonder if we've discussed this, if this is the first time I'm hearing this too. He flicked his gaze up at everyone around the table, a smile creeping over his face. I'll be pretty busy going forward. Apartments. He was moving. Cove was going to move out of his dad's house. After 10 years, he wasn't going to be your neighbor anymore. Yeah, that's a big change. What if he asks you to move in, though? Hey, I think it's probably on the table. Mr. Holden gripped one of Cove's shoulders and gave it a loving shake. His excitement couldn't be contained. Incredible! Cove's actually gonna make it to adulthood. It's a miracle. Mr. Holden leaned back in his chair, staring up at the ceiling in mock wonder. I wasn't convinced I'd be able to rear a kid all the way to this point, but thankfully I lucked out and got the best boy a dad could have asked for. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I love it. Their relationship has just gotten so cute. Oh, Dad. Cove, blinkered? Like blinkers, like a car. Okay. Interesting word choice, but I can understand it. Cove blinked his vision with his hands on the side of his face. Oh, I see, temporarily blocking his father from sight. Despite his genuine bashfulness, which left him unable to meet anyone's eyes after all the attention thrust his way, he was happy. Thanks. I was really lucky too. You're a good dad. Oh, come here. Oh. Mr. Holden threw an arm around Cove's neck, pulling him into as close of a hug as the seating allowed. He rubbed his cheek along the top of his son's head while Cove chuckled, accepting the affection with good humour. Aw, he's so sweet. Oh, that pudding looks nice. He looked around at the faces of the company here. He'd been on this journey with everyone here for years, seen them falter and grow, and they had watched you go through the same. Cove was leaving his family home. Liz was heading back to college while Lee was starting at hers. You were staying close, but it was clear you were all heading in different directions to different destinations. Some near and some far, but it wouldn't be long until you were all going your own way. Your heart swelled with pride for everyone. It was bittersweet. The thought troubled you. Oh, it's tough. 'Cause yeah, of course you'd be proud of everyone, but it's difficult seeing people you care about all... I feel like it's only natural to have conflicted emotions about it. You can be both proud of them and sad that they're going. It's bittersweet. You turned your head to the side, wistful, not wanting to spoil the evening with your troubles. You were glad that everyone was succeeding, but the idea of splitting up gave you a twinge of regret. These people had been key pillars in your life. Days ahead without them, no matter how bright and shiny, felt a little empty, like a theme park after closing time. Yeah. But you focused your mind on the sweet side. Your mind filled with the bitter part. I think the key to getting through that is remembering that everyone is moving in a direction that will make them happy. And in the end, if it's a relationship that you really care about, you can put the effort into maintaining that, and it will stick around. So we'll focus on the sweet side. New adventures were still ahead, and you could encourage that optimism. Absolutely, absolutely. Cove brought some attention to himself with a clearing of his throat and a small interjection. I'm gonna stretch my legs while we're waiting for the food and everything. Sure thing, bud. With a tiny smile, he nodded at his dad, but the lightness to his expression faded when he moved to face you. Wanna come? Oh, is something happening? Mind you, this is sad. If you break up with me, I am gonna cry. I mean, no pressure. If that's what's right for you, go ahead. But also, I will be sad, and that's okay. He was attempting to be subtle, but there was obviously something on his mind, something he wanted to talk to you about alone. You watched him with concern as you rose from your seat. Yeah, I'll go. Take care. With those parting words, the two of you walked about the place. He was trying to get as far away from everyone else as possible without actually exiting the building. What did you need to say? He hadn't admitted that was what this was about, but he didn't need to. Cove started pulling on the hem of his shirt. He turned his head back to face you, but it was an awkward moment. Well, I wanted to talk to you one-on-one about all of this, my work, moving. I mean, it was coming before, but now it's pretty much here. Yeah, it's exciting. Cove stopped picking at his shirt and he seemed to respond well to that response. He was relieved you weren't upset about it. I'm glad you think so. But then he looked down and his brows furrowed. You saw his hand shift away from his clothes to instead rub at his arm. Are you looking forward to it? I am. Well, I'm trying to be. He ducked his head further and you saw his face start to redden. Oh? But it's scary. What if I mess everything up for me? For us? Oh, buddy. Come on, you don't need to worry. Hey, he can... It's a scary thing. It's valid to feel worry. I mean, you don't have to. I think things will be okay, but I understand that. You're gonna do great things. I don't think that's what he's necessarily worried about. You could never ruin what we have. Yeah, I think that's yeah. So, you're saying we're going to dress up as the future for Halloween? Oh, man. I can't wait to do my... to do my bad ending run of this game. I think this is what he needs to hear right now, and I think it's true. I think we have a strong relationship, and it's something at least that communication is reasonably open, and we can work on it. So I don't think he, at least not because he's got good intentions. If he maintains those good intentions, I think it's gonna be okay. You could never ruin what we have. He said nothing, but let his eyes meet yours again. Cove then turned his head away and wrapped his arms around himself. He felt a sudden chill that definitely wasn't caused by the air conditioner. Oh no. Did I say something wrong? I promise I'm not going to keep asking this forever, but so much of our lives has been this place with these people. It seems like all of that is about to change. So, are you really sure you want me? Oh, buddy. I just want to hug him. You remembered that night of the Orca fundraiser when you admitted you loved Cove and that you wanted to be with him always. He seemed so confident about it then, but now that you are on the brink, yes, it's fair enough when you're just kind of with your thoughts about it all, you know, all those anxieties bubble up. His words came out hesitantly. He didn't want to ask this. He didn't want to know. I'm not just talking about today, but forever, always. Even if things change later, right now, do you feel we can make it? Yeah, bud, I think so. Or do you think we can't last, that one day we'll have to move on? You know, maybe we will, and that's okay. That's okay too. I think some relationships aren't meant to last forever, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue them at all. I can definitely see this relationship being a lifetime one, just by the communication and care that I've seen demonstrated in it. But also, I think it's totally valid if one day it doesn't. If one day they move on, and I think that's okay. You were as worried as he was. You got mad at him for this? You got mad at him for this? Oh my god. Don't get angry at him. He's a big anxiety boy, and that's okay. I'm gonna save just because I'm scared. Thank you, but I think I'm gonna keep calm. I think he needs reassurance. You understood his concern. It was definitely hard to imagine what would happen. However, you didn't let yourself get upset. I want it to be forever. Yes, Cove, no matter what happens, I want to be with you. I'm yours as long as you want me. Interesting. I don't think you can say no matter what happens, because what if he murders someone in a bad way? That'd probably change things. I'm yours as long as you want me. I think puts some of it on. I mean, that's for sure true. You don't want to lock him into that. But I think right now he clearly likes us and just needs that reassurance that it's reciprocated. So I'm gonna say I want it to be forever. I feel like that's the most appropriate for the situation. Oh. You thought about the future and how unsure it was. You couldn't know what was to come. However, there was one thing that you did know, and that was how much you cared about him. Yeah. Cove laughed with a delicate smile on his face. Okay, you win. I wanted to prepare myself for the horrifying unknown, but you're kind of giving me no choice but to be optimistic here. Hell yeah, keep that optimism. Hey? Hope goes a hell of a long way. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Strong armor. That's right. Oh no, I can't believe you're being forced to have hope about life. That's me. I think that sentence describes me. Sassy optimism. I'm happy to hear that. You're welcome, you snickered. I'm gonna save again. I'm glad they put in so many save slots because I don't like to override anything. Oh no, I can't believe you're being forced to have hope about life. Can I say that? Oh, I think it's funny. Let's give it a go. His lip twitched up at your sarcasm. I know. How am I gonna get past this? He gave a small smile and then stopped joking around. Thanks for listening to me, Patch. It helped. That's good. I think that's just right now he needs to know that we are also committed to this relationship and are here to support him. Just as he's here to support us, you know? I think that was alright. I think that was alright. You felt pleased that his anxiety had eased after talking it out. I think it's time to rejoin the party. Do you feel like heading back? Oh, yeah, I forgot what we were doing here. That'd probably be good. With matching smiles, you both reclaimed your seats at the table. Both of you felt lighter, and it showed. Oh, you're so cute. Gosh, you're so cute. The character designs in this game are great. I also love how they do the hair. That part is beautiful. I draw. I'm just envious. You seem happy. What was that? Yeah, it looked like you were having quite the conversation over there. It's neighbor stuff. Sorry. I used to be your neighbor. He waved off their questions, and you didn't offer any explanations. They still seemed curious, but caught that Cove wanted it to stay between the two of you and let it drop. That's nice. Things relaxed and you took a sip of your drink, as should we. Ready? Here we go. I speak a lot in these. I need to stay hydrated. Lee idly tapped the table and got your attention. I'm so excited to try this place. I haven't been here in a long time. I hope it's as good as I remember. All the restaurants in the area are pretty top-notch in my humble opinion. We'll see. It was a challenge issued. Liz carried herself like some sort of professional food critic, and Mum snorted. Tough crowd, jeez, Liz. Ma giggled and chimed in as well, much to Liz's embarrassment. That's right, Lizzie, jeez. Oh, jeez Louise. I say jeez Louise so much. Jeez, rude. Hey, be nice to Liz. You shook your head at all of the silliness. She does not look happy. I know it's just silly though, so I'm just gonna shake my head. Why was your family like this? Jeez. Everyone burst out laughing, besides Liz, of course. She smirked. No one could ever accuse your family of being no fun. Night fell. Oh, I want to know how the food was. What did everyone order? Wait, go back. Night fell soon after everyone finished their meals, and before you knew it, you were standing in the parking lot, saying your goodbyes and packing up the cars to go home. After the last of the chores were done, your family spent some more time together. The rest of the night felt like it was going by in the blink of an eye, and somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. Are we going to have another intruder tonight? You pulled your covers up to your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. As your head sank into your pillows and you closed your eyes, your mind drifted back to everything that had happened that day. You could see it all now, behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. And then the image of Cove popped into your head, and you smiled softly to yourself. You decided to send him a text to chat. You texted him to come over. You wanted to sneak out to his room. You're feeling tired, so we've never been to his room before. Save. That would be so funny. What a reversing of things. Ooh. Yes, I think this would be fun. Well, let's give it a go. If Cove could do it, then you didn't see why you shouldn't be allowed. You made up your mind. Hell yeah, let's do it. As quietly as you could manage, you put on your shoes and slipped out of your room, closing your door behind you softly. Heading slowly down, you took care not to make the floor creak, especially the boards right by the bathroom. Those definitely squeaked. The stillness of the night made even the slightest sound seem so much louder in your ears, and you were very aware of your mum sleeping nearby. Upon reaching the bottom, you tiptoed towards the front door. I mean, you could just pretend you're getting a drink of water. You know, you probably don't need to be subtle about it. Slipping out into the crisp night air. Also, you're dating and you're both, at least 18. I think this is fine. Dude, you shut the door and took a relieving breath. Excitement rushing, you dashed across the street towards Cove's house. The road too was surreal at this hour, familiar and yet strange. It might have been eerie at another time, but with how eager you were, you hardly cared. You attempted to find your way from the normal footpath to the side of the condo, but the limited light was making it difficult. You knew for sure which window was Cove's, and lucky for you, it was on the first floor. Unlike Cove, you wouldn't have to do any building scaling. Damn it, I was really hoping for some sudden parkour action. All you needed to do now was to make it safely over the fence and past the bushes without being caught or injured. Oh no, the first quick time events of the game. Sneaking closer, you glanced over the hedges towards Cove's bedroom window, finding it cracked open. Perfect. You wouldn't have to knock and worry about him not answering. Hoisting yourself up with ease, you cleared the fence and avoided the shrubs, then darted over to the window. You buzzed with a nervous excitement as you approached it in the dark, having successfully made it all the way here unseen. Lifting the window up so it was fully open, you pushed yourself halfway through, your legs dangling into the underbrush below. It was a little awkward, as a small shelf was right in the way. You had to take care not to knock over a couple plants, but you made it through with minimal noise. Oh, yes, I forgot what his room looked like. Oh, it's so cute. It literally hasn't changed. Once safely inside, you dusted yourself off and turned back to close the window gently, with only the soft glow of moonlight and Cove's fish tank there to see the way. You gave a small wave to the special fish you got to name Dash. Then, straining your eyes through the dark, you crept towards Cove's bed, barely making out the sleeping figure beneath the covers. Okay, no, this is weird. This is weird. Look, me personally in real life, I won't enter someone's room without permission. I just think, for the sake of this story, this is a fun little reversal, a nice little plot twist. Though he does normally knock on the window and wake me up first. I would have preferred if we did that, but okay. By the sounds of his soft breathing, you could tell that he hadn't heard you come in, and a small smile tugged at your lips. No, I'm not gonna scare him. You poked him until he woke up. You nudged him gently, whispered his name. You sat down on top of him. You let him sleep and sat beside him. Nope, weird, I'm gonna gently nudge him. After a couple of nudges, he sleepily blinked his eyes and mumbled something incoherent under his breath. Cove, I wanted to come over, is that alright? He let out a yawn and rolled towards you, waking up just enough to understand the question, but not the full context. A faint smile appeared on his face. Oh, that's so cute. Oh! Ah! You can't see, but I do flappy hands right now. In fact, I've been doing flappy hands throughout like this whole series constantly. What? Yeah, no, I want you here. Aww. He reached for you, his arms wrapping around your neck as he pulled you towards him. When your foreheads touched, he gave a satisfied sigh. Then, as if totally unaware of what he had done, he started dozing off again. Oh, you snickered quietly to yourself as you sat there. He could figure it out on his own, and after a few more seconds, he did. Wait, Patch? Yes, do you need something? He shuffled under the covers and sat up to stare at you in alarm. Why are you in my room? What happened? A smile slipped onto your face as he finally registered your presence for real. You said nothing. I didn't want to be alone. I was bored. You hugged him. I was bored. I think I was bored. He gave you a crooked smile as if to say, really, Padge? I should have known you'd do this one of these days. It's only fair. Right? Thank you. You let out a breath, feeling relieved that he didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, it felt kind of good. You thought maybe this enthusiasm was why Cove did it so often. Oh, it's cute, it's cute, it's cute. We knew it would be okay. We knew it would be okay. And if it wasn't okay, I would have gone back. He pushed himself up fully, swinging his legs over the side of the bed and leaving a spot for you beside him. His hands shook where he held them in his lap. He was nervous. Oh, are you okay, bud? You sat beside him happily, waiting for him to speak first. You can stay as long as you want. Really? Yeah, really. I'll go home soon. I don't have to stay. How long do you want me to stay? Can I stay the whole night? I'm gonna save just because I'm not sure. I'd usually just say, oh, okay, thanks. I'll go home soon. I don't have to stay. How long do you want me to stay? Yeah, what is he comfortable with? Well, to be honest, there aren't a lot of situations where leaving you is ever what I want. Oh, that's cute. I guess only when I annoy you and you need space. Aww. Hello, sweetie. You chuckled softly, doubting that would happen anytime soon. Okay. I won't go anywhere. His face lit up as he settled in even more. I've secretly slept over in your room before. It's fair you get to do it too. Wait, okay, do you mean secretly as in from my parents, or do you mean from me? Because I think I need to set some boundaries if that's the case. You snickered, feeling pleased with your decision to do this. Okay, we weren't horrified, it's probably fine. Well, looks like you might be getting the floor yet again. Okay, but there's no way I'm letting you take the floor this time. I think that, yeah. Okay, but there's no way I'm letting you take the floor this time. Here we go again. You rolled your eyes and let out a soft laugh, which Cove returned as he rubbed at the back of his neck. No, seriously, you can have the bed. I want to share. Can you try to... No, don't put pressure on him. He can do what he's comfortable with. I'll take the floor, I insist. I wouldn't mind if you took the bed. I appreciate you taking the floor, Cove. I'm saving it. Well, I need to calm down with all this saving. Yes, just do it. I wouldn't mind if you took the bed. I think that's a nice way to go. Look, seriously, it doesn't bother me. I just want you to know that. I wouldn't mind if you took the bed. His eyes narrowed into slits of aquamarine. He didn't want to argue about it, but also didn't want to accept your offer. But you're firm about your decision. Your gazes stayed locked on each other until you had silently entered into some sort of staring competition, neither one of you willing to budge. As the mini battle of wills continued, you drifted closer until you could almost count every single one of his individual eyelashes. We just sit here for a full 5 minutes unblinking. You stared each other down. The two of you locked eye to eye. One of you would have to be the first to crack. Like I so often enter a staring competition with Charlie, my dog. She can't agree to that, but we just both start looking at each other. And then eventually she blinks because she doesn't know it's a competition, and then I win. You know, I'd be more comfortable on the floor than the bed. Then why do you have a bed? Get over it already. It's your house, so I'm not taking your bed. He pouted and pulled at the hem of his shirt unhappily. Patch, I just can't be sleeping in a bed if you're not too. Okay, forward. So that's it. I'm not gonna be the only one with a bed tonight. Okay. Look. Okay. You raised an eyebrow and folded your arms over your chest, giving him a questioning look. Does that mean you'd share it with me? Cuties! A bunch of cuties! I need to get a face cam so you can all see how excited I get. Yeah, this time we can share. Really? You'd actually stay and not leave to be on the floor? Hey, bud. Hey, me? Shut the fuck up, dude. He can do what he wants. Let him do what makes him comfortable. Don't stop shaming him, okay? You just literally said you want to be together forever. You literally have so long to figure this out. He can take his time, okay? Jesus Christ. He nodded, holding back your delight. You tried not to grin at his sudden boldness. It's whatever, dude. It's whatever, okay? Eventually your smile broke though Cove stayed completely serious, his face set like stone. There, I've made a compromise. If you won't take it, then you'll just have to accept me sleeping on the floor. Yes. Okay, I'll take the bed. We'll both have the bed. We'll both have the floor. That would be so funny. I think I'm gonna save that one for my Mad Lad run. Okay, we'll both have the bed. Well, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Okay? Okay, look, if he seems more uncomfortable, like when it actually happens, I am just gonna stop and go back. I don't want to hurt this fictional character's feelings. I know I'm making content here, but I don't want to upset him, okay? If he gets uncomfortable, I will go back. I don't care about the content. If you want to see them in the same bed and him being really uncomfy, you can go and do it yourself. I'm drawing a firm line here. I have spent 18 episodes growing attached to this guy and I am not going to upset him. Except when I do my bad run, and then that is going to be my ultimate goal. He swallowed, and despite his resolve shaking, it didn't break. We're gonna share the bed. Okay, yeah? You could hear the trembling Co's voice as he held his hands together to keep them from shaking. Oh, buddy. See, also, is sharing the bed a euphemism? Are you saying we are going to sleep together? Because you need to be more specific about that, especially for me, because you could literally just share the bed, and that'd probably be okay. I've shared a bed with heaps of my friends. It's fine. You lie on it, and then you go to sleep, and that's it. There is nothing sexual or romantic to that whatsoever. It's only sexual or romantic if the parties involved decided it is so. Okay, This is the confusion that this game causes me. Oh boy, when we get to other ones, like I'm planning to play like Dream Daddy and Sucker for Love and stuff like that, they are gonna be quite the ride. He let out a breath and shook his hands in front of him, mentally preparing himself. Yeah, it's gonna be alright, bud. It's gonna be alright. His mouth set in a grim line, and he balled his fists at his side, determined. A grim line? A grim line. Grim? Grim is the word we're using? Yikes. It's not that serious. You felt nervous about it yourself. You were glad he was making the effort. You stayed calm. I don't like this. I'm gonna stay calm. You simply waited for him to ready himself and gather his nerves. It only took a couple of moments longer before he turned to you, attempting a weak smile. Ready? I'm definitely ready. Let's get cozy. He took another deep breath and you slipped under the covers, making room for him to get in after you. Laying as straight as a steel rod, Cove tensed up beside you, so still he was barely breathing at all. You rested on your side and faced him, your eyebrows pinched in the middle as you watched him. He looked back at you deeply. What does... I'm sorry, I don't want this to just be another Ace Confusion episode, but I just can't help it. I forget how disconnected I am from this world. Do you need more time? I can leave until you're more set up here. No, please don't go. I just want you to stay with me. Well, that's good. Ever so slowly, he began to relax, his fingers tentatively brushing up and down your arm. His eyes shut, lashes fanning out over the top of his cheeks, and you still half expected him to run away like the last time. But he didn't. He stayed right where he was. You don't have to worry about me. Doing stuff like this isn't a problem. It's a process. Yes, it's a process. A process that we're brushing, apparently. You nodded in understanding, even though he couldn't see it, giving him time to let his nerves settle. After fluffing up your pillow and getting yourself comfy, you stayed quiet. Eventually his shoulders became less rigid. When his eyes opened, he smiled and turned his head towards you. Thank you for waiting again, as always. I mostly just want to see if they do mean, like, sleep or sex, because because that's really going to change the context of all of these lines for me. He laughed shyly, his soft eyes meeting yours through the dim light. You okay? I'm fucking fine, dude. Yes. And now that you are, I'll always wait for you, Cove. It took you long enough? Fuck off. How dare you? I'm like, actually, ugh. I am now that you are. Yes. He let out a deep breath, relief written on his face. Yeah, I am. Okay, that's good. He shuffled closer, an inch at a time, before nuzzling into your neck and wrapping his arms around your side. You let him hold you, you stayed like that, you grasped his shirt, you wrapped your arms around him. I'm gonna save, just because I don't know what he's comfortable with, but you wrapped your arms around him. Your fingers gently brushed up and down his back as you held him close. The room grew quiet around you, the only sounds to be heard were the faraway crash of the ocean waves and your breath mingling in the small space between you. Cove's heart was pounding, the thump of it rumbling through you as he spoke again softly. You know I'm not scared of you, right? It's just so many other things that scare me. Yeah, of course, bud. Of course. Of course. I'm afraid of what-if hypotheticals that aren't actually real, but I think about anyway, and of nebulous concepts of what things mean that I can barely explain even to myself. God, that is my entire brain. Oh, oof, that one was a punch in the gut. I'm scared of my own feelings and how much I feel them. Oh, buddy. And I'm afraid because tomorrow things will be different between us, but I'll be alone again. No, you won't. I'll always be here. He held onto you tighter, his breath stuttering ever so slightly. It's normal right now to see you during the day and partways during the night, except for special exceptions. A little laugh escaped him before his tone became serious once more. It's easier to stay where I am than it is to make myself move, to not take a risk, and to not know what I might be missing, but yeah, absolutely. He hesitated and you reached up to brush a few strands of hair from his face gently, his eyes slowly fixing on yours. When did doing the easy thing get so hard? When it comes to you, I don't know how to stay still. I want to keep taking steps forward. Honestly, when I see your face or even imagine it, I want to start sprinting. Oh, this is so sweet. But when I try, I hit a wall. Well, then let's just walk for a while. It's just like I physically can't do it on one side of my mind. There's something blocking me. And then on the other side, I absolutely can't stop myself from doing it. It never ends well. I hate it. It's God, the most infuriating thing. Why do I do it every time? I'm annoyed with the way I am, so I have no idea how you stand it. Oh, Bud, this is so much of my fear. Around, like, romantic stuff, at least. Damn, oh. I'm sorry I act so split when it comes to romantic things. I don't think you do. I think you're pretty forthright about your interest. I think you're fine, dude. I don't want you to think you're rushing me when I know I'm giving mixed signals. You're not giving mixed signals, bud. And I am rushing you by some of this dialogue. I'm being an asshole. You should be able to take as much time as you need. And I don't want to miss out on being happy by being like this, but sometimes I still can't help it. I don't know how I feel about this. It's almost, it feels like it's talking about his demisexuality like it's a detriment. And I don't think it should necessarily be seen in that light. It's just a different way of experiencing stuff, and I understand that that's frustrating, and that's totally valid. But I think the problem here isn't you, it's my response to you, and just that we haven't set up the proper boundaries to help us just navigate what makes both of us comfortable. Ugh. This is... I always turn this into like a talk. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that I'm glad you've never given up on me. It means a lot. It means everything to me. Oh, of course, buddy. I want to support you. You don't give up on me either. You've been there whenever I've really needed it. It's who you are, and I accept you. You smiled in understanding. This is tough. You don't give up on me I kind of feel like you don't give up on me either. Like, just almost in the sense that this is saying this is a relationship, and like it's just what you do in a relationship. You support each other. See, you do it for me too. Yeah, just because this one, it's true, your demisexuality is a part of who you are, and I do accept that, but he's specifically been talking about it as if it's like a big problem, or like an issue that he's forcing onto me. And I don't want to just say like the difficulties he's facing are a part of him. They're just whatever. It's like I don't know, this one feels better to me. You don't give up on me either. His eyes glossed over a little as he squeezed you closer to him and smiled. Yeah, because I got my own stuff, but it's fine. His heart rate finally relaxing to a normal rhythm. Good night, Patch. Good night. He leaned forward and kissed you tenderly, his hand gently moving to cradle the back of your head. I love you. I love you too. You were still smiling as you snuggled into him, getting as close as you could. Cocooned in his warmth, you easily grew comfortable next to him, feeling him ease into you as well. Before long, your eyes were growing heavy, and you drifted off in a restful sleep side by side. So it was literally just sleep. Why was I such an asshole about that? Like, man. Hey, we could have handled this better. Yikes. Anyway, I think let's continue. On to the next day, please. Let's reset with a tea sip. Yeah, I think part of my difficulty with it is I'm so happy to see representation of demisexuality, because it's like nowhere in media. And I'm glad that they're showing that it is a very nuanced situation. That it affects both the person who is demisexual and their and the person they're in a relationship with. But I just feel like they could have been a little clearer on the importance of communication there, because you can still have it be rough, like it certainly has with this, but you need to spell out that is not the way to go about it, that there is a way to go about it that's a little bit more healthy in establishing boundaries and stuff in the relationship. And it's okay to not do that with your characters, but you need to communicate in some way that that's not the healthiest way to go about that in a relationship. But on the whole, just super psyched to see a fully fleshed out demisexual character actually speaking about their sexuality and the struggles they've had with that in terms of their own identity, and how that identity interacts with other people and relationships and stuff like that. That's really, really cool to see. Just as like an ace person who's never really ever, I think, seen ace representation except in a D&D game. That was a good one, actually. I really like that. If you haven't seen Candy Kingdom by Dimension 20, as an ace character in that, my favorite character, played by Ali Beardsley, so good. He's just the sweetest little guy, and Ali's the best. They're so cool. Great stuff. You know what? I might link it in the description if I remember. Wait, let me write a sticky note for myself. Yeah, cool. I'll put a link to that Candy Kingdom down below if you want to see an ace character who's a super cutie. Okay, moving on. The next morning, you awoke slowly from a comfortable dream. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes fully to the sun shining in through the window. Shuffling on your side, you noticed Cove still beside you in the bed, sleeping soundly. His arms continued to be draped around you loosely as he snoozed. You must have fallen asleep that way. You smiled, remembering the prior night. Oh, it'd be nice to spend the night together, getting to be with him in a whole different way. You could definitely get used to it. You quietly watched him sleep. You stroked his cheek gently. You ran a hand through his hair. You kissed his forehead softly. I am gonna let him be, because it kind of feels... maybe it's cool when you're in a relationship and you know that person, but I feel a little bit weird just kind of touching him while he's asleep. Anyway, I'll just watch. He looked so peaceful and happy, you couldn't bear to wake him. With your elbow bent and your head propped up by your hand, your gaze rested over him for a while longer. Then a loud noise suddenly startled you and you snapped towards the source of the sound. Ooh! Uh-oh! Trouble. We're in trouble. The music is really throwing me. Does Cliff always enter the room like this? Just bang! Slamming the door open. What a guy. It was the door opening abruptly, and in the frame stood Mr. Holden, smiling brightly. He hadn't seemed to have noticed you straight away. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, that's so funny. That's so good. Get out of bed, sport. Mom's here. Oh. All of a sudden, the two of you made eye contact and he froze where he stood, the smile slowly slipping from his face. Can I just laugh? I would so laugh in this. I'd be cackling. Well, it's not usually what I walk into. I clearly should have knocked this morning. Your mouth wordlessly fell open. Yeah, you should have knocked. I don't want to yell. If I just casually said that, I would go, you screamed? Oh my god. Please. Of course, Cove would get away with sneaking into my room and I'm the one who gets caught. Good morning, Mr. Holden. You pulled the blanket up over your head. Oh, so good. Good morning, Mr. Holden. I think I want to say that one. That's funny. Morning, Patch. Hey, bud, I think you should wake up now. Cove blinked his eyes tiredly and mumbled something incoherent before turning towards the door. Both you and Mr. Holden stared at him for a few moments, neither knowing what to do or to say or do. Cove, who continued looking at his dad dozily, was obviously having a hard time trying to process the situation. Then his eyes widened. Dad! This is so good. Cove scrambled on the bed in an attempt to get to his feet, pushing the covers back off the both of you. Forgetting there was an overhanging ceiling above him, he shot upwards and hit his head on the wood. Yeah, why do you have that? That's such a useless space. You should... you could, it's like just for storing things, which I mean for me is great because I have lots of hobbies and just like cosplays that stack up, and that'd be great. But I mean, look how you don't seem to do much. Okay. Ow! He flopped back down on his pillow, pressing a hand to his head and groaning loudly. You laughed at the scene. You gasped in horror. Cove, you can only... I'm gonna laugh. I've gotta. You couldn't help the sound from breaking out. Though when Cove shot you an unappreciative look, you clamped your mouth shut. Hey, it's funny. Cove, bud, you alright over there? Mr. Holden stepped further into the room. It's just the situation. It's funny, dude. I'm sorry. His eyebrows furrowed in concern and he bent down towards his son. Yes, please just go. It's fine, dude. Okay, I'll leave. Cliff held his hands in front of him in a calming gesture, even though Cove couldn't see it. He turned to make an exit but stepped abruptly in the doorway, obviously deciding he had something more to say. I know we've talked about this before, but I feel like now is one of those times to mention that I was barely older than you when I found out I was going to be your daddy, so... just if there's anything you need to say or ask about. I love this guy! I love this guy. This is the best. This is the best. This is the best way this situation could have turned out. Just great. In real life, I would have been mortified, but this is a video game, so... We're not having kids. I know. I was just saying, at that age, things can move fast, and... He let out a heavy sigh, running a hand over his face before stopping himself and calmly saying, You know what? It's fine. We'll chat about this later. Or not. Kira's waiting. That was so funny. That was the best. With that, this episode's just gonna be called Caught! Exclamation mark. With that, he stepped back out of the room, giving you two one last look before pulling the door shut behind him. Fucker. Cove rubbed at his face before dropping his head into his hands and mumbling between his fingers. Oh my god, oh my god. You patted him on the leg. Well, that was fun. You covered your face with your hands. That was so awkward, you groaned. That was fine. He said nothing, and you got the impression he didn't appreciate your comment. With a heavy sigh, Cove forced himself to sit up again. He frowned hard, staring over at the closed door. This is fun. This is funny. Sorry. I guess we can't hide in here now. He gave you a sidelong glance, and despite his displeasure at the situation, a small smile quirked his lips. Yeah, there you go. It's too bad. It had been really nice. I wish we could stay in here all day. You found yourself smiling along with him. The two of you took a few minutes to get up properly and get yourselves as ready as possible. Cove put his glasses back on before heading out to see Kira. Hi, Kira. As cute as ever. Kira was waiting patiently in the living room. She was in high spirits with her eyes set on the hallway. Her amused smile only widened when you and Cove froze. Oh, look at his dumb face. It didn't take long for the realization to sink in that the scene must have been loud enough for her to hear even from there. She's great. I love Kira. Cove... Oh god, now I gotta do her voice. God, I'm so sorry. Cove tried to look unimpressed, eyes narrowing over Kira's smug delight, though his face was already turning red and his mum hadn't even said anything yet. He squared his shoulders, lifted his head and strode forward. Hi, Mum. Hi, baby. And hello to you too, Patch. Her tone cracked in her greeting and then she just gave in and laughed, unable to keep any of it in. Yeah, there you go. That's the right reaction. Cove frowned at that and his eyebrows furrowed. Sorry for the interruption. I didn't know you already had guests. His frown wobbled as he became even more embarrassed by this moment. He couldn't muster up any words to defend himself. Well, it's not like anyone's surprised by this. I'm sorry, hi. You don't have to laugh. You didn't say anything. Well, it's not like anyone's surprised by this. Kira laughed even harder this time. As it slowed, she brought up a hand to cover her mouth, but you could both still see her shoulders shake. Cove still looked mortified, but he shot you a stern look. All you could do was smile. See, this situation isn't serious, and it's funny. I think it's fine to laugh. Cove was still unable to say anything, other than his teeth biting into the inside of his cheek. He stood there frozen. Kira studied you both for a moment. It's okay. It's my not-so-little mister is spreading his wings. I can't complain about that. She lightly tapped the tip of his nose. That got a tiny smile out of Cove. Despite being much taller than Kira at this point, he still seemed like a little kid in front of her. You released the air you were holding in your lungs, and then Kira's gaze locked onto you. You know, we were just about to go over to see Pam and Noelle. Are you two coming? Sure, I could definitely go back there. Sure, I'd love to visit my mum's. Cove chuckled at your phrasing. He stretched his arms for a moment and yawned, trying to physically shake off what happened. Yeah, that sounds good. Great, let's do it. It was then that you noticed Mr. Holden standing on the other side of the room. You figured he must have been trying to create some space for everyone during the last conversation. You could tell he felt a bit awkward, but he tried smiling reassuringly as he scratched the back of his neck. His attention went to Cove. Bud, do you want to get changed first? Cove looked down at his pajamas for a moment. He shook his head. No, we don't have to wait for that. Are you sure? It's only a trip across the street. I'm alright, besides. Patch is going in pajamas too. Fair point. Cove then leaned in closer to you. He grumbled quietly. And your mums are gonna figure out what happened anyways, so... yeah. Here we go! With that decided, the four of you headed out across the street to your house. It felt strange waiting there while Mr. Holden knocked on the door. Hi there! Mum answered the door and her expression brightened even more seeing Kira there. She moved to pull Kira into a hug when her gaze fell on you. Patch? Hi, Mom. How? When did you get out there? Why are you still in your pajamas? Mum's eyebrow raised. She gave you a deep, examining stare. Meanwhile, you and Co shared a slow side glance with each other. Before you could answer, more heads popped into view around the doorway. Ma, Liz, and Lee were all chuckling. To be honest, I always assumed Cove had been the one sneaking around, and you were right. Her eyes sparkled with amusement, and you had to look away. You noticed Cove's face was burning red again. It was a solid theory, Lani. Most likely they've been breaking and entering. I wouldn't put it past my baby. He takes after his parents. You're right. I can't believe my Patch has been getting up to all that mischief too. Mortified, Cove looked like he wanted to disappear. While the adults chuckled and discussed what you and him may or may not have done, fortunately they left the conversation there. Enough of standing around out there. Come on in. Mum moved aside to usher the group in and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could get settled in, Mum spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast. We still have some great spices and stuff from the farmer's market. Yeah, we'd be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kira, but Cove looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, eh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated the idea happily. Excited, Kira clapped her hands together. Oh, we could really make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Cove's suggestion before long both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. Plus, you and Cove both took some time to get dressed for the day. You also decided to bring the bottle of apple juice Cove got you, or... Yeah, no, this is the perfect time. Have I not had it already? I assumed it's been like at least a month, but maybe it's just been a few days? Sure, I'll bring it with me. I think this is the perfect time. Today felt sufficiently special to bust it out. Yeah. If there's a later date that's better, I'm going to be upset. An hour later, both your family and Coase were walking down the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask for better weather for a beach trip. The moment you laid your eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up there, the sight always filled you with wonder. Hey Patch. I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda, see if they want to come too. Everyone else is pretty much already here, so would your family mind? Oh, wow, you had a good... That sounds so sarcastic. Wow, you had a good idea. He chuckled, his mouth pulled into a bent smile. It had to happen sometime. That had you laughing this time. You were already eager for your friends to join you there. Hey, Mum, Ma. They both stopped what they were doing and turned towards you. Immediately, you darted over to them. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked to Mum to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Mum then shot a glance over at Mr. Holden and Kira, knowing that they had likely heard everything. Cliff, Kira, what do you think? The more the merrier. Of course, they're welcome with me. Thanks. Delighted, you nodded and turned on your heels. Cove was still several feet away, talking to Lee and Liz, likely about the same topic. With a beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved, as Cove quickly got out his phone and started making the calls. At that, you turned your attention to helping with the picnic setup. Unexpectedly, your phone started ringing. Oh, you dug it out, curious to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered. Derek! Oh, buddy! We haven't seen him this act, have we? Have we? No, I don't think we have. Wow, how exciting. Hey, this is a surprise. I thought you disappeared. Nope, I have not. And I hope it's at least a good surprise. A very good one. He chuckled at that, and your smile widened. So, what's up? The voice came through. Oh. No, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna keep the same voice. The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met, but it was the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? Yeah, I have. It's been amazing. There's been ups and downs. It's been memorable, to say the least. I would have enjoyed it more if you'd been there. Yeah, I have. Awesome. You'll have to catch me up on that. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, I just been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and scholarship inquiries. What else is new? I bet you're even more toned than the last time I saw you, you joked. Your only real struggle will be choosing which place to go. They'll all be desperate to have you. I wish you nothing but good luck. Yeah, the only real struggle will be choosing which place to go. They'll all be desperate to have you. Totally. His chuckle turned into a sigh. You could hear his small smile when he spoke. I really hope so anyway. That would be amazing. What about your family? Are your brothers being good? My brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing alright. You both laughed at that. It was easy to imagine the grin on his face. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great, my mom's that too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out, and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually, I'm out with my mums right now. Liz and Lee are here visiting too. Oh, that's fun, but if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your number. Okay, bye. Bye, Patch. Have a heck of a day. Aw, he's so sweet. Hanging up, the conversation left you energized and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. He reminds me of, Greg from Night in the Woods. One of my favorite video games ever. I'm gonna play it on here soon, definitely. It's exactly what you needed to make this day even better. You hurried over to your mum's and helped put the rest of the food out. In moments, you noticed Cove at your side. So, what's the verdict on those invitations? They're gonna come. Yes. Excited, you raised your free hand for a high five. Cove laughed and slapped your hand. They'll meet us here later today. Shouldn't be too long. I can't wait. Once the setup was done, everyone got comfortable and dug into the food. You couldn't remember the last time breakfast tasted this good, but you attributed it to the gorgeous ocean view and soothing sea breeze. Wait, I forgot. I need to log the water that I drank, and the tea. I've been trying to be a good hydrated kid lately. Hydration. I've been using Plant Nanny because I am old. Oh no, my little mushroom looks so sad. Okay, no, it's fine now. It's fine. Don't panic. The mushroom's fine. Morning swiftly gave way to afternoon, and a very recognizable face came walking down to the shore. Baxter seemed momentarily surprised to see you all there. Oh my god, Baxter? This guy? Was he in this? He was just in this act, right. Baxter seemed momentarily surprised to see you all there. He pleasantly approached with a wave. Oh my god, it's like we're just running through all the old faces. This is, it's really like concluding. Oh my god, your voice. Here we go. Oh my god, I need to like mentally prepare to do this guy's voice. Hello there, I didn't mean to intrude on the party. I was coming down to get some fresh air. Fuck, awful. I'm so sorry I gave you this voice, dude. I love your shirt, by the way. I would totally wear that. Very Unis Arnis, and I love the whole eye aesthetic. I'm totally about eyes. Oh, you didn't intrude on anything? You're welcome to join us. We brought plenty of towels and food and sunscreen. Yeah, it looks like he needs the sunscreen. Yeah, you're one of the neighbors. Kick back and relax with us. Well, I can't possibly say no to that. Thank you. Fuck. Baxter's gaze moved over to you and Cove. He smiled. Patch, Cove, long time no see. Hi. You waved from where you leisurely sat and Cove nodded. The NFT bisexual. That's his energy. A dangerous mix. It was then that Baxter noticed the faces he didn't immediately recognize from around the neighborhood. He turned up his charm even more for his quote-unquote charm. Excuse me. I'm Baxter Ward. I'm sorry we haven't met before. Well, we're not typically from around this area, just visiting. I'm Cove's mom. Baxter, back the fuck off, dude. Oh no. No. Oh my god, this is the first time I've like actually seen all of her. She is so cute. That outfit, killer. I love those shorts. Also, Baxter, you need to back the hell off my cousin, dude. Back off. A few giggles escaped Lee as she watched Baxter carefully. Hey, she's too clever for your antics, okay? She's gonna see right through you. When his attention turned to her now, she held out a hand. Oh, but no, but she's boy crazy, isn't she? Oh god, what a terrible term to use for her. I'm so sorry. But I think that was like one of the things that she was always talking about, all the cute guys at her school and stuff. Oh god, no, they'd probably be great together. Damn it. Hi, I'm Lee, Patches and Lizard's cousin. Baxter shook it and then took a step back. Lee's smile grew. I'll remember that. It's very nice to meet you both. After that, Baxter spent some time getting better acquainted with everyone, and Terry and Miranda arrived excitedly. The conversation shifted to what you all would do next. We could do a few rounds of volleyball. There's plenty of us now. Heck yeah, my brother loves volleyball. Could I play? Of course. Oh, Miranda's so cute. Miranda brightened, delighted with this plan. Mara looked around to see if there were any other takers. Heck yeah, dude, I'll play. I don't feel like playing. I'd have to change, but it'd be fun to watch. I could be the ref. My eyes won't miss a thing. Volleyball's a good idea, but there should probably be something happening for those who aren't a fan. Oh, I have some crafting supplies we could use to make on the beach. I mean, okay. We could even use stuff we find around the beach to accentuate them. You know what, actually, okay, no, I'm back on board. What? Really? I want to make a necklace. I'd be interested in trying my hand at that too. It sounds like we have like no takers for the volleyball now. Impromptu crafting is my kind of party. I'd like to join too, please. Jewelry sounds fun, but I was hyped about the volleyball. I want to play volleyball. And if I don't play volleyball, there probably won't be enough people to play. And I want the people who want to play to be able to play. So let's play volleyball. You looked at Ma, ready to jump into a competitive mode. She looked thrilled to have you on board. I'm game to play some volleyball. Now that plans were settled, the group temporarily split in two. Alright, sports stars, we're gonna have to pick partners and then it's game on. Mr. Holden left the rest of you to deliberate and turned his attention to making a makeshift court in the sand. Well, she walked over to you and hooked her arm around yours. You laughed. I want to be on Patch's team. Yeah, sure, I'll pair up with my mum. Sure. Alright, it'll be Ma and me. You wanted to have fun with your Ma. Cove put on his game face, not intending to go easy on you now that you are on opposite sides. Good, don't go easy on me. What's the fun in that? When Mr. Holden finished drawing the court, he went and fetched the volleyball from the various other supplies you all brought here. Sounds like we have our teams all set, right? Yes. Good. Now get to your sides. Cove's not by himself, is he? Mr. Holden's playing. Cool. The four of you situated yourselves on one side or the other of the court with your partner. Mr. Holden tossed the ball to Ma. Since this was all, her name's Nolani? That's a dope name. Did I know that? No, is it Noelani? Because before it was, or was her name just Noel? Because I have seen Noel just spelled like that, but I've also seen it pronounced Noel. So maybe it's Nolani, and then when it's shortened, it's Noel. I think that makes sense. Since this was Nolani's idea, I think it's fair she gets to serve first. Thank you, Cliff. Whoa, Ma! Show him who's boss! Go Patch! Make him eat sand! Hell yeah. You kicked a small heap of sand out of your way on the simple court, making her laugh. You turned back towards Ma. Don't hold back, you're going down. Good luck, Ma. You got quietly serious. Don't hold back. I wouldn't think of it. With that, Ma got into position and delivered a practical first serve. The game began. In the battle of the volleyball, both teams scored points. There wasn't a set amount to reach to end things, so it went back and forth for as long as everyone wanted to play. And the game went on for quite a while as everyone got into it, especially with the cheers and added commentary. Liz and Mr. Holden made the whole game better with their humour and wit. From a distance, the jewellery-making group would also cheer when they heard shouts coming out of the court. On top of that, they would hold up each newly made piece in the air and the players would take a breather to applaud the creation. This is so sweet. It wasn't until all of you were exhausted from the running, spiking and diving that a truce was called. You enjoyed every moment of it. The afternoon continued to drift by, but the fun was still going strong. Cove was thrilled when you pulled out the drink you had been saving. It meant a lot to him that you wanted to savor it. Aww. That was worth the teasing smiles your family gave. Occasionally, someone would head back to the houses to use the bathroom, rest away from the sun a while, or retrieve something that they needed, but they always came back. The beach was never empty, and there was always a new conversation to take part in or another game to join. At one point, Mr. Holden even broke out his pack of cards. He roped the whole group into a few rounds of good old Go Fish. There was only one thing that could bring this day to an end, and that was for the day itself to end. Before anyone realized it, the sun began to set over the sea. As that happened, you were taking a break, sitting on your towel, and your legs stretched out and your feet buried in the warm sand. You were listening to music on a little speaker next to you. Shortly, you looked up to see your mums approaching. They stopped in front of you and smiled. Hey there, kiddo. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Today's been amazing. Oh, this is sweet. They both sat down, squishing you between them. Ma leaned her head against yours, and Mum started rubbing your back soothingly. Nothing more was said at first, but Ma sighed contentedly. Mum looked at you wistfully. Oh, this is really nice. We're both really proud of you, Patch. You grew up to be more than we could ever have hoped. Oh, wow. Thank you. It's only thanks to you too. Your eyes start tearing up. I'm not sure I deserve any of that glowing praise. I think, your eyes start tearing up. It wasn't your intention, but their praise took you by surprise. Your bottom lip started to quiver. Oh no, sweetie, we didn't mean to make you cry. Ma wrapped an arm around your middle and squeezed you tightly in a side hug, and tears started running down your cheeks. Mom lightly brushed some of your hair. It's okay, I'm just so happy I got to have you as my mums. After that, all three of you were sitting there sniffling and teary-eyed. You wiped some of the tears away with the back of your hand. I don't know how we got so lucky with you and Liz. Ma reached out in front of you for Mum's hand. She gave it to her and Ma squeezed it. We must have done something right. You stayed there quietly and contentedly, watching the sun set with your parents for a while. Until Mr. Holdren called out to you. He was still walking in your direction. We were talking and think we're gonna take a walk down the shore. Any of you want to come? Automatically, you looked to your moms for what they were thinking. Mom glanced from you to Ma and smiled. That sounds good to me. Yeah, that'd be very nice. My legs need some stretching. That's a yes across the board. Thrilled, Mr. Holdren threw out a thumbs up and began heading back to the way he came in a light jog. Hey, don't leave us in the dust. Cliff kept going forward but flipped around, walking backwards across the sand so he could face you again. Don't worry, we won't leave without you. Alright, we'll catch up. Before you forgot, you turned off the speaker and left it on the towel for now. Ready to go? Uh-huh. Both your mums held a hand out to you. Chuckling, you gave them each one and you strolled back to the rest of the group. Oh. When Liz was in reach, Ma used her free hand to pull her into it too. Liz shook her head, but her mouth quirked into a smirk and she didn't resist. Together as a family, you followed behind the others, hand in hand. Your feet squished into the wet sand as the waves rolled over them, and you didn't have a single care in the world as more and more stars began to dot the sky. Once the sun had long been out of sight, it was finally time to pack up. The closing of the day and the ever-approaching end of summer seemed to intertwine. It caused a quiet, reflective mood to blanket over the group. On the beach, Terry and Miranda took turns compressing Cove in a hug before moving on to do the same to you. You chuckled, still overjoyed that you'd got to see them today. I'm sorry we have to go already. My parents are here. That's okay. But still, I wish we could help clear this all up. Don't worry about it. Just thanks for coming out today. It was cool having everyone here. Oh, yeah, I'm super glad we came. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Nodding, you turned your attention to Terry. She wore a large grin on her face and held out a hand for a low five. You obliged. Take care of yourself, buddies. After that, they walked away, waving to you and Cove as they went down the shore. Cove waved quietly back with a small smile on his face. You waved too. Bye, have a safe trip. I'm happy I got to see them. I'll wave too. It was a big wave. You hoped Miranda was right, and there would be another day like this soon. Taking you by surprise, Terry jumped and twisted around. She kept up with Miranda by walking backwards. She kept the mood of your farewell light by shooting finger guns at you and Cove. Miranda bumped her with a hip. It left everyone with a laugh just before they disappeared down the bend. Patch? Hey Cove, could you come here? Both of your parents were motioning for you. The two of you went to them. Tons of things ended up at the beach over the course of the day, so there was still so much to pack up, and the parents needed help. With a nod, you got to it, stuffing various things into bags and bundling them up in towels. Once things were ready to go, everyone filled their arms with as much as they could carry. Absolutely no one wanted this to be a back and forth kind of task. The walk back home ended up being mostly quiet. Each person seemed to be feeling the effects of the day. A cool breeze carried you across the sand and onto the road. There was a sigh of relief from what felt like the group as a whole when they arrived back to the neighborhood. Baxter carefully placed what he had been carrying on the ground. Thank you so much for helping with that. No, thank you for allowing me to join you today. You all shared with me. Helping to carry it back was the least I can do. He was saying something nice, but I just make him sound like an asshole for no reason. Ma nodded, and the others started collecting their things from his pile. Baxter, meanwhile, stepped over to you and Cove. It was really a pleasure getting to know you both this summer. His head tilted towards you and he smiled warmly. Baxter offered you his hand. You used your freer hand to shake his. You waved goodbye instead. You patted his shoulder. You side-hugged him. I'll shake his hand. It was tough with what you were carrying, but you were able to extend one of your hands a bit. Baxter chuckled and shook it. I think we did end up as good friends. I really enjoyed meeting you. Good luck with your next semester at school. You didn't say anything. I don't know if we really ended up as good friends, but it was nice to see him. I really enjoyed meeting you. I'm delighted to hear that. I enjoyed this vacation immensely thanks to you. Baxter turned to shake Cove's hand this time. He was a little incredulous for a moment, but then Cove eventually shifted what he was carrying and took Baxter's hand. It wasn't long, but it was a solid handshake. Baxter was clearly pleased. I wish we had more time together, but it was a nice ride while it lasted. Would happily do it all over again. Bye, Baxter. Yeah, bye. For a second there, I was waiting for Cove to speak. I forgot that I'm Cove. Baxter nodded and walked a few steps towards his condo. He then stopped and waved. Goodbye. Baxter sauntered away completely and disappeared inside the condo to return to his own things. His time with you and your family and friends ending. You paused for a moment, staring at where he went. But afterwards, you looked back over at the rest of the group. Lee and Liz were just going inside your house. You couldn't spot Kira or Mr. Holden anywhere, but the door to their house was wide open. Mum approached you with an amused look over her face. Seems like you're holding up some Holden things. Haha, funny. Surprised, you glanced down to take a quick inventory of what you were holding. Mum was right, some of it belonged to the neighbours. Would you mind dropping it off now? You are looking down again at everything you're carrying. You sighed. A teasing grin played at your lips. The Holdens is a long walk from here. Cove snorted and laughed next to you, making your grin wider. Mum chuckled and shook her head. You can handle it. Then you'll get to experience the joy of a job well done. You laughed happily and nodded. Mum smiled fondly. Cove took a few steps towards his house and stopped, waiting for you. Good night, Cove. I'll see you inside, Patch. Night. I've started keeping like a full jug of water on my desk because I have the problem that like once I start working, I just like don't get up for hours because I just fixate on getting it done. So I would go through a glass of water so quickly and just not get up when I needed a new one, and so I just wouldn't drink as much water. But I've started keeping a jug on the table, and then and that jug lasts me a few hours, which is good. So I'm drinking more water because of that. You know, you gotta hack your own brain. Good stuff. You caught up to Cove, and together you went over to his house. Walking in the front door, you saw Kira and Mr. Holden busily unpacking already. Things were scattered on counters, and they were moving around each other, putting the items away. They both lifted their heads when Cove closed the front door. Hey. It's nice to see you again already, Patch. Her teasing tone brought a light smile to your face. You hefted the stuff in your arms a little closer. I ended up with things of yours from the beach. Oh, thanks for getting that to us. You can put it here on the coffee table. Mr. Holden pointed to the surface he was referring to, and you immediately left what didn't belong to your family there. Cove put his own things down on the floor just at his feet, wading through everything strewn about to reach his parents. Putting your family's stuff on the ground for a moment, you dusted your hands off and straightened up. You needed a second of rest and a minute to resituate it all. You went over to where the others were too. Kira opened her arms wide, wanting to hug you. Yeah, I'll give you a hug. Without hesitation, you went to Kira and let her pull you into a hug. You squeezed her back just as tight. Her hug was filled with affection, and you hoped that she could feel how much you cared about her too. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a blast. You're welcome. Today was amazing. Kira eventually released you, but patted the tops of your shoulders as a final gesture. Every time I've gotten to come by, it's been an absolute joy. Things really couldn't have worked out better. Oh, that's so sweet. Mr. Holden took a step closer to you. Kira moved aside to let him say goodbye too. He grinned. Thanks for always being such a friendly neighbor. They're all like saying goodbye. I know like we're still gonna see each other, but like it feels like they're saying goodbye to like us as the viewer, and it's sad. And not just right now, but for as long as I've known you. I don't always make it easy, but you and your family are good people. I truly appreciate it. Thanks again, Patch. So much. At that, Mr. Holden reached over and gave you a soft pat on the top of your head. I'm really glad you're my neighbor. You're good people too. You hugged him. Goodbye, Mr. Holden. Yeah, we'll give him a hug. You burst forward into Mr. Holden and wrapped your arms around him. Surprised, he went rigid immediately. Oh, sorry, buddy, you're not a hugger. But several moments later, he relaxed and began to lightly pat your back before shifting into a full hug. You squeezed him tighter. Thanks for moving in. As you let go, he sniffled, but when he met your gaze once more, his mouth pulled into a wide, happy grin. Mr. Holden was staring at you, but his gaze seemed far away. Maybe he was looking back at who he used to be, the 8-year-old he had asked to be his son's new friend. Bye, Patch. You smiled softly. Then Cove took a step forward. He gestured to his piles of things he had carried into the house. Don't worry about all that. I'll put stuff away in a few minutes. Right, I need to do the same with my family. I figured. Cove walked you to the door and held it open. Taking one last check around to make sure you had all your things to bring home, you went into the road. He leaned his body against the doorframe, not following you out. So this is it, huh? Actually, that's not what I mean. His expression twisted and he shook his head a bit, like he was trying to banish the pensive thoughts. I'll just say bye. Yeah, bye. It won't be long before you'll see me again. You offered him a small wave goodbye with one of your hands. Cove reached forward and gently cupped your face with one hand. His thumb trailed across your cheek for several heartbeats. Mesmerized by his blue eyes, you stepped forward, delighted to oblige the request he was silently asking. He met you halfway as you smiled into the kiss. It was soft with longing, and your chest ached knowing that there couldn't be anything more than this, at least for now. One of his hands grabbed onto the door handle and firmly held it. He was stopping himself from coming along with you. As you walked over to your own front door, you stopped. Turning around, you spotted Cove right where you left him. You laughed quietly to yourself. For a small pause, you both stared at each other from across the street. Good night, you blew him a kiss, you waved. You ran back to hug him goodbye. I feel like just a wave feels like the right thing to do now. Cove waved back with his whole arm. Night. Things couldn't be dragged out any longer. After one more shared smile, you opened the door and went inside, shutting it behind you. A few steps in, you saw your family gathered in the living room. They were still busy unpacking and cleaning. You added the things she brought to the pile on the kitchen counter. Mum stood up, rubbing her eyes a bit. She yawned loudly. I've never heard that term before. I'm bushed. How about we finish the rest of the chores tomorrow? Yeah, honestly, it's too late for this. Please and thank you. Ma put her hands on her hips and turned to assess the room. Ma was not one who liked to leave a mess about, but she sighed. I suppose we can make an exception to the usual rule. It has been a really long day. Liz grinned contentedly. Lee wasted no time in skipping over to you and hooked you in a side hug. Good night. I hope you have the loveliest dreams of you-know-who. Lee ended that sentence with a wink and a hearty laugh. She let you go. Hope you have good dreams too. You hugged her back. You shook your head. You blushed. You laughed. I'll hug her back. You pulled her close into a bear hug. Lee giggled until you released her. I hope you sleep well too. Oh, I totally will. The moment my head hits the pillow, I'll be out. Here's to us, Patch. Tonight, tomorrow, and forever. You smiled at that. Yeah, family forever. Thanks, Lee. You're really lucky, he nodded quietly. Thanks, Lee. I don't know what I'd do without you. I know, it'd be lonely. Lee stretched her arms high over her head. She yawned loudly and looked at you with tired eyes. I think that's my cue to head to bed. Bye. I think so too. Have fun sharing the room with Liz. She laughed at that and Lee shuffled off towards the guest bedroom. Before you had a chance to do anything else, you could feel the top of your head being tapped. You spun around to see Liz smirking. Nighty-night. I'm heading to bed too. It's been a long day and I have a lot to prepare for tomorrow. Exhaling, you automatically started fixing the back of your hair. When Liz didn't immediately walk away, you smiled softly at her. Everything okay? Her gaze moved away, and you knew she had more to say. You waited patiently for Liz to compose her thoughts. It's been a good summer. It was nice to come back home. You nodded and Liz gave you a teasing nudge as she went by. Amused, you turned and watched her go. Love you, little kiddo. Good night, Liz. I love you too. Bye, older sister. Gave her a hug goodnight. You smiled back. Love you too. Liz stopped walking and stared at you for a moment. She smiled softly at you. Get some sleep soon. Morning will be here faster than you know it. I will. Whew. I felt that one. When Liz was out of sight, Mum started up the next conversation over her shoulder. Aren't you heading up to bed too? Oh, we'll just relax first. We've decided we're going to do it tomorrow. Desperately, you needed some time to decompress and clear your mind. You worried if you went off to bed now, you would end up staring at the ceiling all night. Okay. Ma came over too, smiling understandingly. She pulled you into a big hug. Alright, do what you need to. I love you. When you were done hugging Ma, Mom pulled you into another hug. Their actions, basically handing you off to one another, had you laughing jovially. I love you so much. You're the best parents. Oh. Aww. Ma's eyes sparkled from your compliment. Mom pulled you into another hug. Good night, kiddo. Sleep tight. Good night, sweetie. Night. After that, your moms headed off towards their bedroom down the hall. You were about to turn the other direction when you heard Mom's voice. Don't let the bedbugs bite. You heard Ma chuckling as you watched them go with a smile. Time had passed, but you weren't entirely sure how much. Sighing, you sat up on the couch. It was a good night rest, and all your tired muscles felt quite relaxed. You got up, planning on going to bed, when something out the window caught your eye. Your feet brought you right up in front of the large window spanning the length of the wall. You stared out into the hills behind your house. I had a feeling. What better place to end but on the hill with the fireflies, where it all began. As if on cue, your phone came on, alerting you of a new notification. It was Cove. Want to hang out on the hill tonight? Something inside told you that this was the right kind of night to take a trip out there. You sent him back a very quick message. Yeah? Oh. You went over to the front door and, stepping over the threshold, you gave the living room one last glance over your shoulder. Then you shut the door behind you. Silently, you made your way to the poppy hill. With the light steps in the dark, you walked across the hills behind your house. Up ahead at the very top, silhouetted beneath the sky, was a familiar figure already waiting there. Smiling, you wondered just how he always got there first. You even had the advantage of living closer. Then again, and maybe it was only in your mind, but somehow Cove was intrinsically linked with this place. After all these years, it would be weird to scan this horizon and not find him there, as surreal as the shore without the sea. The distance between you was growing shorter by the second. Hearing the grass and earth crunch under your feet, Cove turned. A grin spread over his face as he saw you. You took your place standing behind him on the crest of the poppy hill, looking over the ocean. Same as you'd done on countless times since he'd first arrived when you found him on this very same spot. Patch. He had officially broken the silence. The spell that had held you both in place. You looked at him expectantly. There's something I've always kind of wondered about. He cocked his head, giving you a sidelong glance. What did you think about when we met? I was just a kid you'd never seen before, bawling his eyes out on the hill next to your house. He chuckled, his eyes drifting towards the sea beyond, before flicking back to you. The way his gaze pulled back to you made it clear that he was genuinely invested in the topic. Luckily for him, he remembered what initially struck you in that moment. It was as if it had only happened yesterday. Well, I remember noticing your very bright green hair. Cove burst into genuine laughter at your reply. Guess that's fair, it did kind of stand out. Sighing a bit, you continued to reminisce about that first meeting. I also remember feeling bad about what was happening. I remember that too. He ran a hand through his hair, and you knew his line of questioning wasn't at an end, even before he spoke again. Do you remember what you thought about me? You know, as a person? Was I annoying or mean or... I wanted to get to know you. I didn't know what the feelings were at the time, but I thought you were cute right away. I thought you were special somehow. I just worried about you because you were so sad. I don't really remember anymore. I think I wanted to get to know you. Cove's eyes widened, openly amazed by your response. Really? I don't know what I did to deserve that. It's nice of you. Cove's hand drifted to the scar on his arm, his fingers unconsciously gliding over the mark. It was much less noticeable than it had been when the neon pink cast had first come off, shrunken gradually over the years as his body healed, then dwarfed in comparison to his growing body. Still, his fingers came back to it without thinking. He gave a half smile, not meeting your eyes. I feel bad now. The thoughts I had were, well, considering what you were thinking, I come across as a lot worse of a kid. You didn't like me? No, it definitely wasn't that. Cove lifted his head up, finally committing to meet your eyes fully once more. I remember you that day. I remember it really well. I don't think I'd ever be able to forget. I can picture the way you looked back when I first saw you standing right here. I still know the expression on your face when you chose to sit with me in the grass. He chuckled derisively, interrupting his own monologue. You scared me at first. I figured I'd be alone out there until I had to face my dad again, and then suddenly another kid appeared out of nowhere. It was startling, but I got over that fast. You were a strange person in a strange place, but in that moment you were exactly what I needed. Somebody I could talk to freely about what was happening and how it made me feel. You listened to me. You stayed with me. He sighed and then bit his lip as he gave a small smile. I was a little bit spoiled growing up. You let him continue a little? Yeah, you were. It wasn't bad. You were dealing with a lot. Oh no, I'll just let him continue. He looked off again, seeking clarity for his thoughts in the expanse of the night sky. What I'm trying to say is, when I was younger, I viewed myself basically as the center of the universe. I didn't even imagine it wasn't like that. Things didn't simply happen. That would be weird, according to my little kid brain. It made far more sense that everything in my life had a specific connection to me somehow, right? I mean, yeah, it's, I guess, a logical way for a kid to think. He saw it, and in fact, as just an 18-year-old, it's impressive that you don't still kind of think like that. He sought affirmation in you, wavy brows raised as he tried to explain his childlike logic. So at the time, you felt almost unreal. Like you weren't just anyone, some other kid who happened to live in that neighborhood with your own whole life that wasn't connected to Cove Holden. No, to me you were there so that you could find me when I was lost. Oh, that's kind of beautiful. Though it turns out you were there for that. You were trying to find me because something had sent you specifically to do that. Just didn't expect it to be my dad. I guess he knew more about what I needed than I thought. He chuckled, shaking his head as he shook off the thought. I kind of expected it all to vanish like a dream when that night was over. I would wake up and everything would be the same again. I'd be back in my bed at home, my real home with both my parents. The future was something I couldn't picture anymore. I didn't know what school would be like when I went back, or the table where I'd eat breakfast the next morning, or anything. And if I couldn't imagine it, how could I think it was something actually happening? I couldn't grasp my new reality. It was too big for me to hold all at once. So, I never thought I'd see you again. Then Cove beamed at you, his eyes shining bright. And I never, ever would have been able to guess that 10 years later, when I was a grown-up, the two of us would still be together. I'm so glad I met you. It's hard to believe it's been so long. Guess that makes me your dream come true. Mere words couldn't encompass the joy you felt. He smiled. I'm so glad I met you. I feel the same about you. But the smile faded from his face as his eyebrows drew together. That was the worst day of my life. At the time, the day my family broke apart, it was too heavy for me to even think about. I felt that way for I don't know how long. He held a hand over his heart, connecting with the pain he'd felt as a child, and looked at you earnestly. But that was never really true. Things have only gotten better with me and Dad and Mum. It was the change we all needed. This is really lovely. His eyes were growing misty. So, when I remember that time right now, it's not the point that my life was over. It was only the moment that I met the person I love. Oh, that's really lovely. When I was crying to a stranger over what I thought I'd lost, I didn't have any idea that they would be the one thing in the world that I actually wouldn't be able to live without. Oh, I love you. I never want to lose you. You're wonderful. Thank you for all of this. You can reply. I love you. He took in a breath, forever amazed whenever you spoke those words. I love you too, Patch. Then you hugged him, then you gripped his shoulders, then you ruffled his hair, then you kissed him, then you teared up, then you grinned back at him. I think just sitting here and talking is nice. I think tearing up makes sense. Cove stroked your cheek, wiping away your tears with the pad of his thumb. Patch, it's okay. This is your place to cry too. Thank you, I'm just happy. So am I. Cove sighed contentedly. His voice was as delicate as the petals on the poppies which crowned this hill. Hey, Patch. I'm so grateful you always took care of me. You didn't even know what to say back to that. His heartfelt appreciation left you speechless. He tilted his head up, thoughts lost in the sparse clouds above. I wonder how late it is. I guess it doesn't really matter. My dad is fine with me being out whenever. You could just use your phone to check the time. You could still text your dad about what you're doing. I'm gonna message my mums. My mums might care, but I don't feel like telling them. I wanted to make sure you message your mum about what's going on. I think it's okay to just sit here in this moment. You're 18. I think it's alright for you to just go out and sit by and sit with your partner, just like a block from your house. I think it's okay. I'm just gonna quietly nod. Mr. Holden was content with giving Cove all the freedom he could. That's nice. And I don't think we necessarily need to know the time right now. Just kind of live in the moment. Are you gonna lay down in the grass now? Wow, how'd you know? You're predictable. With a chuckle, Cove plopped down onto the grass and laid on his back, his usual way of spending time there. You sat on his chest. You also laid on your back. You took your own spot next to him in the grass, brushing the blades of grass aside a bit with your hand. You were close enough that Cove could reach over and hook an arm around your side from his place on the ground. You smiled at him. Oh my god, what, really? It's that late? Damn. Okay, fair enough. The both of you finally fully settled in to relax on the hill. It felt like just the beginning of one of your nightly outings, but then you realized the sun was peeking out over the horizon. Cove spoke up with a disbelieving tone. It really was late. Your neighbor wasn't a stranger to being awake at dawn, however, not like this. He was normally an early sleeper, early riser. This unexpected sunrise particularly awed him. The two of you watched on silently as the sun began to light the world. Cove then propped himself up on the back of his arms and looked at you with a soft expression on his face. Do you want to go back home? I could carry you if you're too tired. No, I want to stay here. You couldn't resist a yawn, but you were serious. It couldn't be time to go already. Cove chuckled affectionately and gripped you a little more. Okay, but it's been a long day. We've done a lot of things, like, really a lot. It has to end sometime. No, you're right. Since when are you okay with things ending? Does it really have to end? I know, you're right. Yeah, too bad I am on that one, huh? Well, we can stay if you want to. Cove smiled brightly at you, as warm as the new rays of sun that were tickling your skin. In that moment, you couldn't have appreciated him being there more. You kissed him. You moved your face forward and gave Cove a small kiss. He tilted his head against yours. Good night, Cove. Good morning, Cove. You're my favorite neighbor. I just love you so much. You didn't say anything more. Good morning, Cove. He gave you a bent smile and went for the opposite sentiment. Good night, Patch. The two of you remained together on that familiar poppy hill where you first met until the world began to fade and blur. You were falling asleep. A few more gentle words drifted into your consciousness. I'll see you tomorrow. Your eyelids dipped, but you felt good. You were safe and relaxed. Everything that had come before this had reassured you of that. You were confident that when you opened them again, things would be okay. You opened your eyes. Instead of the walls of your room, you were surrounded by open sky. It was not soft pillows and sheets underneath you, but the bed of earth and grass that you'd taken last night. The day welcomed you with a shining sun, a refreshing breeze, and the chirping song of birds. You cupped your face with your hands as you sat up, feeling the imprint of the blades of grass leaving lines into your cheeks. Patch? Hearing your name, you lowered your hands and looked around. There he was, your most influential neighbor, Cove Holden. Oh! Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, and he blinked. Oh, this is really lovely. He had made himself very comfortable, laying on his stomach with jewelry and shoes taken off and a flower in his hand. Good morning. It's not really the morning anymore. Cove laughed, tickled with the overall situation and simply being able to spend time like this. Told you I'd see you tomorrow. Oh, it's the exact same day, Cove. Pretty safe bet. We see each other nearly every day. Alright, good for you. I'm glad you were right. Cove's face lit up in a broad grin. Me too. There wasn't really any doubt. Cove turned his head up to the sky, his expression content. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. We'll have to come up with something to do to make the most of it. He trailed off, blinking slowly in the sunlight. Someday, when we're even older than we are now, I wonder what we'll end up remembering this moment for. Oh, what a reassuring thought. What will we feel when we look back at it? Will it be the same as what we're feeling right now? I can't see what the future is going to look like again, but I think that's all right. You're way too sentimental. Pretty sure I'm going to have forgotten all about this. I think it'll mark another new start for me. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Cove turned back to you, nodding in full agreement. He eyed the hill sprawling out before you and down below, where the wild hill and nature gave way to civilization. Your home and coves lay down at the bottom, neatly filed among the other houses in the neighborhood. Cove said nothing, but fixed you with a deliberate and meaningful look. As much as I like it here, it's okay if we leave now. We can always come back to see the poppies and the fireflies again, right? Cove met your eyes, waiting for what you were going to say in response. Right, I'd like that. It's really going to be another nice day. You're amazing. Yeah, we better do that. You're not getting out of it. We'll always be together in one way or another. I might be able to manage that. Right, I'd like that. Oh. Cove blinked slowly, his eyes still locked on you, but you didn't need to see his face to know that he adored you. If there had been any room for doubt, the tender way he spoke would have filled it up. You're really irreplaceable, huh? Cove beamed at you. His expression was so unlike the one he'd worn when you first found him here, swaddled in sadness and uncertainty. Yet you couldn't help but glimpse that boy once more underneath his bright expression and matured features. Come on. He offered you a hand. You accepted it, your palm fitting around his. Cove lifted himself up, pulling you along too. Our parents probably aren't going to come running for us this time. We've got to make our own call. And I say that we can't hide away forever. Poppy Hill is just one part of things. There's more out there for us than this time and this place alone. Let's enjoy it. You couldn't say whether you were the one that broke into a run, if Cove had been the one to start it, or if your feet had simultaneously made that choice for you both. The end result was the same, with the two of you dashing down the hill like children, but with the nostalgic revelry that could only come as an adult. As the wind whipped past you, you knew that family and friends were waiting at the end of your sprint. There were more memories to make after all. Life takes another step forward. We got the achievement our life. Oh. Oh my god. Chibi Patch Games. Oh. Wow.
I wake up to the colors in the sky. The day is new, the sun.
Oh. Thank you. In between. Okay. What's this? Oh, is this going into Act 4? Ah. Well, I'm gonna save that there because I don't think I'm ready to move on to Act 4. That game was really beautiful. I enjoyed that so much. I think it's a genre that's not explored too much, at least in Western media. I know there's a term for it. Because I looked a little bit into it for some uni stuff. I think it's called. Let me double check. I don't know if this is the inspiration for, or like in part some of the inspiration for this, but it really made me think of Iyashikai. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a genre in Japanese works, usually manga and anime, that's all about portraying characters like just living out peaceful lives, often surrounded by nature and stuff like that. And it's intended, like it's the intention of is it to have like almost a healing effect, like a calming effect of watching it. And I just think it's beautiful. There's something so lovely about just being able to just watching someone live out their lives and watch these relationships grow and develop and how they change as a person. And that was just a beautiful experience. Of course, I had my contentions in moments, of course, but that's going to arise in any game, and I feel like my thoughts about that have been made known, and in the grand scheme of the games, they didn't impact my impression too much, because I mean, this is just lovely. I feel like often nowadays, especially like in Western media, so much is steered away from just seeing like that intimate connection between people, and that's something that I really love to see more of, and is really explored in this. You know, there's so much focus on especially like with lots of Marvel stuff. There's just been such a focus on action movies and all of that stuff, and there's of course space for that, and I can appreciate those too, but there's just something so beautifully human about these, and exploring our relationship to other people and our relationship to place, and it's just really lovely. I really had a great time playing this. I feel like you can even walk away from it with a few lessons almost of whether it's reaffirming some of your own ideas or revealing something about how you interact with people, about communication in relationships and stuff like that. Just lovely. In terms of game itself, the art style's beautiful, really lovely to look at, really talented artists on this, just really pleasing and just so nice. I really liked the music. It was going throughout it, and I didn't ever find it annoying or frustrating, and they all felt reasonably appropriate for the scenes. It's probably one of the first full-length like visual novels that I've played, and I know it can be an issue about like autonomy, like how much choice a person has, and there was an incredible amount in that. Like I don't know whether it's just an illusion of choice thing that they've done, but just from how many choices I made, and some of which seem quite impactful, how many branching paths are in this must just be enormous. I'd love to see if they've got the numbers somewhere about just how many different choices you can make, because the amount of writing that must have gone into that is incredible. I'm working on a podcast at the moment for my thesis, and it's just 10-20 minute episodes, and that feels like so much writing, and it's just so direct and straightforward. I can't imagine writing something like this. It just the amount of planning and everything, and the writing was beautiful. Dialogue can be so difficult, and so much of that felt so natural and poetic, and heartfelt and touching. It was just really lovely. I really enjoyed it. I at some point would very much love to go through and play that Act 4. God, I have no idea what it's going to be. Maybe we're sharing an apartment or something like that, and I will get around to it, but I think I'd like to take a little bit of a break, because I have so many other games I want to play all lined up on my wish list, and I want to explore some other things, especially some like horror games and stuff like that, because I do love those. And of course we've got the DLC up here in the corner, which would be amazing. I've seen like 1 or 2 pictures of it, and it just looks incredible. I'm hoping at some point to do a video of my my genocide run, my bad end run, of just going through and picking all the wild options just to see what happens. It did say at the beginning that no options is gonna like give you a bad run or anything, but some of those were like, oof. Too anxious for me to choose those. So that might just be one big video where I show you all the highlights of all the stuff that happens. Kind of sad to say goodbye. I mean, it's not goodbye. There'll be extra, but no, it kind of feels like this is the end. If you made it through not only this 2-hour-long video, but this whole series so far, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. It's just a sweet little relaxing story, I think. Just a lovely little moment we've gotten to share. Yeah, thank you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Love you.